Hi, do you have an iBook G4?
I think that's what this is.
And are you bored of Tiger, newer Tiger, and older Tiger?
No, I'm pretty good actually.
If you answered yes to all of these questions, have I got the solution for you? Mac OS 10, but older.
Yo, what the fuck? I was using that!
Stay tuned.
Hey y'all, Snoop here, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Because unlike all my prior projects, we're actually treading pretty new ground here. Well, as far as YouTube is concerned. Because as far as I know, this method hasn't been documented anywhere else that still exists. We'll get into that. So unlike my more Dragon 1-esque style, which tends to annoy some people sometimes, this video will be structured similar to the El Capitan on the Unsupported iMac video. Hence the chapter markings. Anywhoosie.
Why isn't it possible? It's just not. Why not, you stupid bastard?
As with any good project, we're going to need a couple things. First of which, an iBook G4. But not any iBook G4. This video is designed around the late 2003 through late 2004 models with the ATI Mobility Radeon 9200 graphics processor. While in theory the 2005 models with the 9550 GPU can work, there have been reports of all sorts of issues, from the display resolution being incorrect, trackpad having extremely low sensitivity, and no graphics drivers. So I don't recommend doing this to that model. You will also need a FAT32 formatted USB thumb drive containing 4 files. Mac OS 9 for unsupported G4 systems downloadable from Mac OS 9 libs, a boot enabler script from my website, a custom Mac OS ROM available from Macintosh Garden, and lastly the ATI Mobility Radeon 9200 driver or extension, also from Macintosh Garden, and also a blank CDR. You are now ready to install the Mac OS 9 base system.
So now with the things we need collected, we can now begin to install the Mac OS 9 base system. Finally. Thank you, Midwest. Very cool. Not literally. So the first step will be clearing the NVRAM. This is just because there might be some funny business going on in there. We just want a clean slate to work off of. So the first step of doing that is to turn the computer off. So let's come over here, go to shut down, wait till the computer turns off. And so now with the computer turned off, we now need to boot into open firmware. To do that, we need to press Command, Option, O, and F, which I'll do like this. Theoretically. And now we're in open firmware. So now we need to type reset-NVRAM. And now we need to restart the computer, so that's reset-all. So with that done, we can now commit our own funny business to the NVRAM. So now I'm going to put in the thumb drive, hopefully the right way around. It appears to take a while to mount for some reason, but it will eventually. And there it is. So now we double click on the thumb drive, and now we're going to use the first of these files. Not these. These don't count. Ignore these. Yeah, okay. So these are the 4 files, and the first of which is this boot script. So essentially what the script will do is adjust the NVRAM so it tricks Mac OS 9 into thinking this is a compatible platform. And in order to run it, we're going to need to open a terminal. So we're going to go to Applications, then go to Utilities, and then go to Terminal. Wherever it is, right here. So now with the terminal open, we need to type chmod +X, and then drag in the script. Press Enter. And now after doing that, we need to take the script again and just drag it in. Press Enter. And now we need to input the password. This is so it can do funny stuff to the NVRAM. So I will do that. And it's done! So now this is where that blank disk comes in. So I've had issues burning this disk image in Windows and on other Macs. So I discovered the best way to do this is to actually just burn the disk image using the iBook G4 itself. So what we're going to do is wait for that to spin up. And eventually it'll show up like that. Just click Ignore. Now, you don't have to do this, but I'm just going to put it on the desktop because that'll be easier. While that's going, we're going to go over to Utilities, open up Disk Utility. So now while we're in Disk Utility, we can take this image, which we just moved off the thumb drive, drag it in here, click on it, click Burn. I'm just going to set it to the minimum lowest burn speed just to be sure. And now we're going to click Burn. This will now burn the unsupported G4 disk so that we can boot off of it. So now with the disk burned, we're going to put it right back where it came from, remove the thumb drive, ignore that, and now we're going to reboot the computer. And this will be the last time we ever see this Mac OS X install. So now what we need to do is once we hear that, we hold Alt, and it'll show us the boot picker. The reason we couldn't have actually used the boot picker in Mac OS X is because it won't actually see the Mac OS 9 disk as being bootable. And now, because it's a PowerPC Mac and this is open firmware, it's going to keep loading for the next 5 minutes. And now that it's actually finished loading, we're going to press Enter, and it'll begin to start up. Now this might take a little while, but as soon as you see a happy Mac right there, that means everything is working. Now if you don't see that, you might want to go back and run the script again, because that's what the script does. Without the script, it won't do that. And once it's done booting, it'll squeak. Actually, usually it won't squeak because the date and time will be set correctly on yours. Mine isn't because the battery doesn't work. So we're just going to close this. This is like a mini tutorial, which doesn't exactly help us since this iBook G4 wasn't really in the intention. That's odd. The disk usually never shows up, but okay. Usually the main OS X partition wouldn't be working like that. So you'll see something like Untitled, and you're going to see ATA and ATA-P. So ATA-P is the CD-ROM drive, which we can't format a CD. At least not a CD-ROM. So we're going to come over to this and click Initialize. This will delete everything, format the entire disk, pretty much erase it and use a file system that Mac OS 9 can actually use. Something to keep in mind is that whenever I do this, in my case, it'll actually be quite a bit faster than it will be for you, because this computer has actually been upgraded so it uses an SD card instead of a regular hard disk. If you want to see a video where I do that, there's a card if you're interested. So now that the disk has been initialized, meaning it is now formatted, there is no going back from here. I don't need to close it, but it'll just stay there. Click over here at the disk icon on the desktop, make it a little bit bigger, and now open Apple Software Restore. And now we're going to make sure the proper disk is selected, which, because you're only doing this to an iBook G4, yes, definitely, only doing this to an iBook G4, there will only be one disk for you to install it to. So now we have the thing selected, it'll all be like this basically, and then you click Restore. And then click OK. And now it will begin installing the Mac OS 9 base system. And you're going to have to find something to do with yourself for the next half hour, because this kind of takes a while. Which a half hour is just enough time to... And once you hear a quack from across the room and come over and see that it says this, we can now press quit, and now you must not reboot the computer yet, because we still have to do one more thing. So you have to click on the hard disk, come over to System folder, go over to Extensions, and now we need to make the multiprocessing folder not in here anymore, because for some reason that causes it to hang at startup. So that's folder right here. So what I'm going to do is just take it and drag it into the trash can. Open up the trash can. Go over to Special and now Empty the trash can. Press Enter. And now the trash is empty and the multiprocessing folder is no longer in the Extensions folder. You can do whatever you want with it, it just needs to not be in there anymore. So now with that done, we can now restart. And now to eject the disk, we're just going to hold the mouse button down once it restarts. Are you actually not going to do it? Bruh. Okay. Well, it's booting from the hard drive anyway, but there is one very important thing to keep track of. Again, I'm going to say it again, I'm running an SD card in here, not a hard drive, so... And now, if you saw that bit right there at the end, and if it hangs there, you didn't remove the multiprocessing folder. Removing the multiprocessing folder essentially allows the computer to boot the full way because it's an extension that causes it to not boot fully. So if it doesn't boot fully, you might need to boot back up into the Mac OS 9 installer disk and actually remove the multiprocessing folder. And if you want to do that, the only reason that happened is probably because you skipped forward in the video. So, and also that happens. See? I stalled you long enough so that you could see that it actually takes a pretty long time to load that video. So now we click continue, and don't really have to do any of this. And then, yeah. Welcome to Mac OS 9! You did it! You now are running macOS 9 on an unsupported iBook G4. You can eject the disk and take it out. From this point on, you could probably consider this done, but there are a couple of things that don't work at the moment which we can fix. For instance, you might notice the windows do that. That's because there isn't any 2D graphics acceleration, which is something we'll fix in the next section. And now that the operating system is successfully installed, we can talk about all the lovely things that don't work. In not any particular order, first of which is Airport. That's right, Airport doesn't work, so you better get yourself an Ethernet cable because you're gonna need one. Also, USB ports only run at 1.1 speed, which is, to be fair, that's not really that bad. Display brightness doesn't work. You probably could have figured that one. Sleep doesn't work, because of course it doesn't. And I've read reports of the CPU being capped at 500 megahertz, but at least in my experience, it appears to be running at 1200 megahertz just fine, so I'm not quite sure what that's based on, but again, I could be wrong. This could just be like what it's reporting as. It's not actually running at that speed, but I don't really know of an HW monitor for iBooks, so... And now, probably the biggest thing on this list is 3D and 2D acceleration. Now, essentially what that is that allows Windows to move around freely, and also to play games that require OpenGL. For instance, Quake Arena. That won't work on here because there's no OpenGL, but we can, however, fix that 2D graphics acceleration problem, and we can do that right now. So the first step is to put the thumb drive back in the computer. Oh, a knock at the door. Is that you or me? Probably me. Oh my god, it's like it's a fucking penny a minute. Whoa! Something to see unboxing, go visit Ko-Fi page, but not yet, it's not done yet. I need to get better at plugging, that was bad. Anywho, in order to get the thing to work with the thing, you need to take the thing and put it in the thing. Did you expect any different? Something of note that will happen is that it actually takes kind of a long time for the thumb drive to mount. Now, essentially what it's doing is it's creating the same things that Finder would on macOS 10, but like macOS 9 flavored, so it will take a little while for it to do that, especially over USB 1.1. So now the file we're going to need is ATY. Essentially what this is a SynX archive which contains the graphics drivers, or graphics extensions as they're known in macOS 9. So what we need to do is double click on this, and then it'll open SynX, or Stuffed Expander. So click on that, then click open. I don't remember that happening last time, but it's working fine. So while that's going, open up a Finder window. I'm going to call it Finder, it's not Finder. At least I don't think it's Finder. Is it Finder? I think it's Finder. You click on the hard drive and then go over to System folder. Rather conveniently, the same place that we took the multiprocessing folder. So now once it's done, just like make sure it's done. Yes, okay, cool. Open up that folder it just extracted, and now we're going to take all of these things and put it in this thing. So once I take that, and we can put it in here. And then click OK.
It was at this moment.
Hey now, wait a minute. It still does that. I swear you worked better. Oh god. Where's my mouse? Oh, right! There's a lot more shit in here. Okay, so, all of this has to go in. All of it has to go in here. Okay, right. So, there we go. Learning on the job. We're learning together, fellas. I didn't expect this to be this kind of video, but that's it. You have to transfer. When you open it up, you have to put all of the things in. You have to put them all... No, hey, hang on. Command A, I think? Yes, it is. So Command A, and then drag everything into the extensions folder. Do I need that? I don't think I need that. You won't have that problem because you would have done this the right way the first time because you watched this video. You are welcome. Okay, with that atrocity over with, we can now restart the computer and it's gonna work, right? I'm watching you. I'm watching you too. Don't think I won't do thing. Okay. Alright. Click on the thing. Thank God. So now if I take this window, and if I drag it over here, it's instant. It doesn't lag anymore. We have everything here. It is working perfectly. Mostly. Still no 3D acceleration, but we have 2D acceleration, which means we can play like SimCity or something. So there we go. The ATI graphics drivers are now installed. Pro tip, make sure you transfer all of the files. That helps. Now, there is one last modification we can do, but I actually kind of advise against it. I'll get into that. And it's this file right here, tbxi15. Now this is a custom macOS ROM, and what I found is it's supposed to do two things, but one it does and the other thing not really. It's supposed to make brightness work, but it doesn't. But another thing it does, and you might find this useful, is that it allows the computer to boot without the special script in the NVRAM. So if you want to... I can't really think of a use case for that unless you somehow found yourself accidentally erasing the NVRAM, which is possible if you like unplug the battery for a week, then yeah, the NVRAM will be cleared. But other than that, I don't really see anything to do with it. And it has a major caveat, which I will show you in a bit. So to install it, the first thing you're going to need to do is double click on it, and then it'll, again, unstuff. It is a SITX archive. It is a SIT archive. Have I been saying SITX this whole time? So once you're done extracting it, you're going to have this file, which you're going to want to click on it and then rename to Mac space OS space ROM in that capitalization. Take the come over to system folder, which is in the hard drive, and then system folder. Take this one and then drag it out, and then take this one and then drag it in. This is just so we have a backup of it. And now we have just replaced the macOS ROM. So now once we restart, unplug that, it won't actually start up. It'll do that. Now what we need to do is a step very similar to what we did last time. So just as before, Command Option O and F. And now we need to type in the same commands as before. Reset -NVRAM. Okay. And now reset -all. And now it'll boot up using the new ROM, completely without the script we used in the beginning. So, yeah. Just in case your NVRAM gets erased, you can use this and fall back on it. That use isn't exactly useful either, because if you break the NVRAM, then you can't load the disk, so I'm not exactly sure what purpose that serves. And why is it dimmer? The brightness doesn't work. Does the brightness work? You're gonna make me check. I know it's dimmer. It wasn't flickering like that before. Go into monitors, and is there any brightness? No, it's just the lowest. No. What? Okay, I didn't realize that was a thing before. That makes it even worse. Stuck to the lowest brightness setting, which in person it's not that bad, but I mean, if it works in exchange for like OpenGL working, I'll take that. Quake 3 Arena. Power PC. OS 9. Definitely leave this. Yeah, okay. No OpenGL still. It makes it so you can use the NVRAM without having things in it, but it also sets it to the lowest brightness. Whether or not it's a worthy trade is up to you. There's also one other thing it does. Sometimes it decides to do this whenever it wants, sometimes when it starts up. This is the main reason that I recommend against installing the macOS ROM, but this is definitely another reason. It wasn't doing that before, it's definitely dimmer. But again, I encourage you to give it a try, because all of this, which I've done so far, this entire thing right here, this is all experimental. None of this has been tested. I just have a test subject of 1. I have a test size of 1. I encourage you to try it out yourself. I don't know what I'm doing, which brings me on to the next section. I just want to make it clear that none of the stuff that made this possible, I made. I just found a bunch of different solutions which I cobbled together to create this, albeit working, amalgamation you see before you. I have no idea how this shit works, which is why I highly encourage you to try messing with this, because this is what I found work best on this specific model. You might have a 2003 model and the ROM might actually fix brightness. The only way to find out is to try it yourself. I don't know how every version of the iBook G4 is going to react to these patches. I'm not a miracle worker. But someone who could be considered one is Darth Vader in Camel Case, who made a guide on Macintosh Garden which I would have tested, but I couldn't get the disk image to burn in anything I tried. But they did make, or at least curate, the ROM and graphics extension which we did use. And in the very early stages provided more proof for it actually working. Which takes me to iRaven, which I'd like to give a huge thank you, and this might seem a little bit silly at the moment, for creating this YouTube video. Without it, I probably wouldn't have made this video. because initially I had issues finding proof that this was actually possible. In fact, I found a great deal of people saying it wasn't, but I could return to that video and say, oh hey, look here, see, working. Which resolved further later when I found shreds of proof that this had actually been done before. Like this guide from 2015, which, definitely helpful, yes. I don't want to sound excessive here, but if I had a crown for the single largest loss of information in the Classic Mac community, it would probably go to the closure of the Think Classic forums. Which, again, I could be wrong. I'm very new to this, so don't bully me too much, please. Which, to be honest, I've encountered these sort of information voids way more often than I ever would have expected. Looking through old forum posts for hours trying to do something I'd think would be fairly straightforward. And that has inspired me to start a project, which I hope to someday be something in the gap between watching a quarter-hour-long YouTube how-to and spending 7 months looking through ancient forum posts trying to craft a solution out of a bunch of dead links. And I don't want to hype this up because while every problem has a solution, most solutions have their problems, and oh god, is this going to have problems. And it might not even go anywhere, but at least this time I have a functional prototype, which you can go find yourself. Good luck! And that's about it. I hope this video had the information you needed. Thank you so much for watching, and to my regular viewers, I'll see you guys in the next one. Something much more normal next time, I promise. And now for the subject of the video. What the hell does this thing do? I left the game running and oh my god, the game has lost, you're broke, I quit. I quit too, you son of a...